meet my bride. Let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile.
Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. The Netherlands and the Dutch people are known for many things. Windmills, tulips, radical control of flooding, wooden clogs. For centuries, their nation has been under constant threat of sinking, which helped them shape their culture. And the Dutch are the go-to people for anyone needing help in reclaiming farmland from the sea. But most folks don't think of rugged, mountainous terrain when considering Holland, the kind of landscape that would require a powerful off-road car to traverse. Yet it was in the Netherlands that such a car was invented. The first four-wheel drive gas-powered car was born in the Netherlands. So let's take a look at the two men that made this happen, the Brothers Spijker. Hendrik Jan and Jacobus Spyker were both born in Hilversum in North Holland. Hendrik in 1855 and Jacobus in 1857. They were the sons of Jacobus and Janetje, their other siblings being two sisters. Their father was a blacksmith, and he taught his boys the trade from a young age, and not only did they take to it with vigor, but they also got into carpentry as well. Both young men were intelligent and resourceful. Hendrik was good with numbers and had an instinct for business, while Jacobus was the engineer, designing and building new mechanical contraptions. It was in 1880 that the brothers decided to go into business together. Now, with a blacksmithing background, you'd think that they'd open up a smithy and start shoeing horses, but instead they opened up a smithy and began to build things that the horses would pull, carriages. The Spyker Carriage Company was established in their hometown of Hilversum, repairing horse-drawn carriages and also building new ones of their own design. And their designs were outstanding. They gained a reputation for building high-quality and artistic carriages, and thus their company grew in both size and prestige. In 1886, they moved to a larger facility in Amsterdam and became known across Europe as one of the best coach builders that could be found on the planet. Indeed, one of their works is amongst the most famous carriages in the world. The Golden Coach, built by the Spijker brothers in 1898, was made for Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands on the occasion of her investiture. Beautifully carved and gilded in gold, it remains today as one of the two royal coaches of the Dutch royal family. In the same year, the brothers Spijker decided to try their hand at making cars. After all, they were already making carriages, so it shouldn't be all that hard, right? So they bought a Benz twin-cylinder engine and bolted it to a coach of their own design. And let's face it, when you're the carriage makers for the royal family, the bodywork you put on your first car is going to be special. So the first car got a lot of attention, and the brothers decided to get serious about making cars. These guys were blacksmiths, and so the idea of making their own engines and transmissions was not much of a leap for them. By 1900, they were making their own twin-cylinder engines, 2- and 3-speed transmissions, and of course the car bodies themselves. But Jacobus was a rather radical fellow when it came to engineering, and he had an idea. Let's build a car that can go anywhere. It was 1903. Jacobus had a Belgian acquaintance, a Mr. Laviolette, that was a whiz at gear drives. Jacobus presented him a challenge. Design a car in a way to have just one engine, yet it drive all four wheels. True, electric cars with motors driving each wheel had already been done, but to have an internal combustion engine do the same thing was unthinkable. Except for these guys. Spyker designed and built this machine to be the ultimate race car, and it was very close to being just that. When their prototype came out of the factory in 1903, there was no other car like it on the planet. The engine was their own design. The world's first 6-cylinder engine with a mind-numbing 60 horsepower and pure stump-pulling torque. This engine powered all four wheels through drive shafts, also the first in the world. And this car had internal drum brakes on all axles, making this also the first car ever to have four-wheel brakes. It was an absolute marvel, and Spyker became a major player in Grand Prix racing from then on. Now let's be fair and admit that this incredible car did have a bit of a problem. The front axles didn't really have differentials on them. Spyker hadn't figured that out yet, so turning at speed was a problem. But with so much power and four-wheel drive traction, it was unbeatable in the various hill climb races that were popular elsewhere, especially in Britain. Spyker was the sports car of the Netherlands for the first quarter of the 20th century. And there's lots more to talk about their cars and their exploits. For now, know that the granddaddy of four-wheel drive came from a land where it wasn't needed for hill climbing, but rather to get through the mud. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.